Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far, with Scrims due to get back underway shortly after Thanksgiving. Scump has revealed his player to watch this season. OpTic Texas is none other than Dashy himself. Looks incredibly good at this game so far, on a game that suits him particularly well, but also might be taking on more of a leadership role this season. Could this be key to OpTic and Dashy himself getting over a championship drought that stretches back to right at the start of the Vanguard season in 2022? Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new, as always, I greatly appreciate it. This I thought was pretty funny here. Choose your table, I suppose, for Thanksgiving. Also, thankful for those of you who pointed out that last night's video was somehow the same video again. I can go into details on exactly why this happened. Nobody really cares about that. What I thought was interesting is that YouTube used to tell me, I'm pretty sure, if I accidentally uploaded the same video twice, it would say, hey, you already got this one. Like, you know, we're not going to accept it or whatever. But apparently it didn't care. I guess the check I need to do is like, alright, is the second video exactly the same length of time to the second as the first video? Because if it is, it's probably the same video. So that was kind of a funny one, but we got that result in due course. I don't know which table you guys would go for. I think table number 3 just sounds like comedy. We've got, you know, Paco, Dashy, Crim and Doug. I mean, yeah, that's a banger. Table 1 would also be, I'd be losing brain cells, I think, at table 1. A few other good options here. Jimbo in the background, pretty funny stuff. There was also another video that came up from this LAN. So you guys probably saw the other day that, well, there was this video that was going around, but it wasn't particularly high quality. Now, we actually get a new HQ version, or HD version, I guess, of this local LAN fight. So they go a bit back and forth here for a little while. I guess I'll go full screen on this, because I don't know if there's something these guys want to tell us, but they're having a bit of a back and forth. There's no audio on this, so I can't really tell what they're complaining about, so maybe some lip readers can come in. This guy slaps the other guy's glasses off, actually, so I think he hits, yeah, he chucks the glasses off, and then they have a bit of, oh my god, just absolute comedy, man. You gotta love this stuff. And are they fighting, or is this something they want to tell us, you know what I mean? So lots of funny reaction to this, as you might expect, especially because this guy could kind of be TJ, you know what I mean? Like, okay, he's got some facial features which are somewhat similar to TJ, and as Cap says, at ProLeague, why is Tej fighting at locals? And then this guy, I think Shayna is actually this guy here, who says, you're both fat gamers, I look nothing like you, and Tej is like, relax, but I knock you out. So, yeah, funny stuff. I don't know if these guys are going to be turning up to LANs next year, but if there's any pros there, we might get something pretty entertaining. There was also this from Envoy explaining just why we might need to changes, well, to the current Gentleman's Agreement meta, because right now, 2 trophy systems are allowed. Outside of that, there really aren't any field upgrades that anybody uses. And trophies are like, man, trophies are fine. It's good that they're in the game, I think, but they're super strong, right? The fact that it destroys a cruise missile is still outrageous. I can't understand that design choice, that this little plastic tripod thing destroys a, you know, multi-million-pound missile from the sky. But, you know, whatever. It's currently the way it works in the game. Now, Envoy has suggested, as is Parasite, what about allowing some sort of other field upgrade, such as the DDoS, for example, which is basically a small area of effect EMP grenade, and but it's a field upgrade. You don't get it every single life. The EMP back in Black Ops 2, I mean, man, the Black Ops 2 EMP would be GA'd in about 30 seconds nowadays, given how strong that was. And even in Black Ops 3, it was weaker, but still EMPs were, you know, an option that you could use, and also it would disable specialists and stuff like this. Today, that doesn't really exist, but the DDoS field upgrade is there. And also what I think on this is that nobody uses this in pubs, right? I mean, surely not. It's not particularly a common one to be used, I imagine, the DDoS in public matches. So I'm sure some people like it, but probably pretty rare that's the case. So if they were to balance it or change it or do something to make it competitively viable, I don't think anyone would care. But it might already be competitively viable, to be honest, because Envoy says, basically what he's getting across here is that if you're in Hill and you put a trophy down here, because there's no walls in the way, the DDoS will disable those trophy systems, but if it actually is behind a wall, such as, for example, in this position, then it doesn't destroy it. So his point is that what the DDoS would mean as a field upgrade is that it would enforce the defending team place their trophies in an intelligent position, and if they don't, or if they, you know, happen to be more open, then the DDoS can take advantage of it. So it's just one of these things where the pros of, you know, GA's, the DDoS field upgrade, apparently, it's really not overpowered. It would probably make the gameplay better because you know, it would also add another element of strategy where people could use the DDoS. You have to think about, if you're holding a hardpoint, where you put your trophy so that their DDoS player can't disable them. And then if they do get disabled, then, you know, the nades would be more impactful and therefore you can actually break a hardpoint. Whereas right now, that is much more challenging to make happen. So I think, honestly, I kind of like this idea from Envoy. And it does feel a bit strange that these, you know, trophy systems that are really, really powerful are just, you know, allowed no problem with 2 of them on the map, but yet nothing else is apparently allowed as it presently stands. Now, before I share that clip, I will share it in addition to what Scump had to say on Dashy. So there's been lots of thoughts lately on OpTic because they haven't been doing, you know, they haven't been frying in scrims necessarily over the first few days they played. I'm sure they'll get back into it very shortly as well, but they're a little bit behind the curve right now. Probe was out there a little bit later than planned, but in general, Dashy especially has been looking very good. I think their AR duo, Kenny's been looking good. Dashy especially has seemed like their best player so far. And that shouldn't be a massive surprise. Higher time to kill game. Dashy usually does very well on titles like this. Black Ops 4 especially is a good example. Even Cold War as well, I suppose, is another one. Dashy tends to have his better years on games where there's a slightly longer time to kill. Aiming well is more important. Dashy tends to be better. And it's an AR dominant game with a laser beam AR. So, you know, these are the type of things that Dashy tends to very much like. And it's not a massive surprise that he's frying in this game so far. And that's exactly what Scump says. But he also goes on to talk about another story, that Dashy had actually committed to bringing in the Starbucks for the boys, which is, you know, it's an interesting statement here from Scump, just to say that maybe Dashy's going next level, because let's not forget last year, Dashy mostly practiced from the Hex quarters, and the rest of the guys, when Ghosty was there, for example, were playing from the headquarters in the heart of downtown Dallas, so they weren't always together, and it's always been a question with OpTic, especially with their more veteran players. Even Scump himself, it was a big talking point for some time. Who's going to take up the leadership mantle? When Scump was there on the Dynasty, there was Crim, there was Formal, there was Karma. Those guys would all kind of, you know, be either the vocal leader in-game or the out-of-game leader. Scump was never really that guy, never needed to be that guy, but when Formal then retired, let's say going into the Vanguard year, when it was, for example, Shotzzy, Scump, Dashy, and Illy, as it was at the start of that season, you know, you might have expected Scump to step up and be the leader as the absolute veteran, but he never really did that. I guess he never really did it much throughout his career, and he never seemed, you know, particularly keen to develop those leadership characteristics, I suppose, and that was probably fine. You know, they had Illy to do it and stuff like this, but, you know, you've got to think nowadays, the fact that Dashy's been on OpTic for so many years, he's already been, what is this, his like 7th, 8th season in the league. Developing some sort of leadership characteristics might well be valuable, especially if, well, who knows if Scump wants to return, and therefore Kenny isn't there anymore. I don't know, but it's an interesting couple of statements I thought I'd share here from Scump.
I think if you trial 1 full week of scrims, I need someone to put a trophy here. Perfect. Thank you, Pum. All right, so we saw when the trophy was in Burger Town, right? The trophy was in Burger Town. I can DDoS it from right here, right? And keep in mind, the range is 24 meters. If there's a trophy right there, this will definitely work right here. If I'm here, trophy still works. It's not that OP. Like, if you go through, like, thick-ass walls like this, or multiple walls, obviously we saw in Scrapyard, it works with 2 walls, but, like, this is, like, reasonable enough for me to put in the rotation. Like, this trophy is unkillable from DDoS still. But if the guy has a trophy in Hill, or their AR players are stuck in Hill, it's the trophy himself, like, you can destroy that.
Brandon with 30.
I hear you.
Brandon with 31 first map. Yo, Brandon's looking fucking nice on the toy at the start of the season.
seconds, 31 kills.
Brandon, yo, you want to know something crazy about Brandon walking into the offices today?
No. Like,
What?
he had his gun up
That
close.
motherfucker had Starbucks for the whole team.
And then he
What
just-
the f? He's on some Remember the Titans, like, get everybody together, be a team type shit?
He had Starbucks for the whole team.
I feel like this is a dangerous game for Brandon to be teed up in because AR dominance, it's going to be a bloodbath if you're on the other team.
I looked at him. I was mind blown. I was like, yo, Brandon, this is what we're on now? You're bringing Starbucks for the boys? He's like, you know me, man. Whatever. I don't even remember what he said.
He didn't bring you nothing, though?
Well, no, I was there for content and then leaving. They're all at the offices right now.
I'm playing towards Don. I'll give you up.
I don't know.
Good flank, y'all. Good flank, y'all.
Oh shit.
So is this going to be the key, right? Because when Scump retired, it was all this talk, and even Scump said in his kind of retirement speech he gave when everyone came around, he was like Dashy, I'm falling down so you could go up type thing, and suggesting that Dashy needs to be, to take up the mantle and continue Scump's legacy in some respect. A lot of pressure on Dashy really to deliver last season as a result. Then there was further drama with OpTic, and in the end they did pretty well. But this season, they've really got to win something. There's absolutely no excuses with the roster they have put together. They've got 5 attempts to do so, 4 majors plus the World Championship, not 6 attempts, of course, as it has been for the last season at least. And there was a promo, of course, in the season before that as well. So is this going to be the key? Because there's always the talk about Dashy, the amount of events he's won over the amount of years, and it's been, right at the start of 2022 now. First event in Texas, of course, was the last one that they won. So I guess it hasn't been that long, but compared to, Toronto and FaZe and even 100 Thieves, New York, all those teams, the other big teams, have won events more recently than that. And Dashy, 2 events in 7 years. Whatever people say, you guys know the story at this point. But I think this is looking like one of his best games in a little while. I wouldn't be surprised if he's absolutely cooking this entire year, but maybe there's other things as well outside of the game that he could take care of, which would make things even better than they already look. But I think the question on this team that most people are having is not necessarily on the AR duo, right? I think people are expecting that even if Dashy doesn't nail in that kind of leadership role in and out of the game, which you might think that he will continue to develop, but even if he doesn't necessarily, and he's just bringing the Starbucks for the one time for the boys because Kenny asked him to, I don't know, they've still got Kenny, to do that role. The question is on the SMG side, how it's going to work with Pred and Shotzzy, and we can see here that Pred 180's temp a fair bit and shoots his body, so Pred's looking very good so far. There's a question how Pred and Shotzzy are going to play together, and also with, for example, HyDra on the New York Subliners. When they were playing in that tournament with Pred and that, he was often on an AR, and this is how it works. With a 3 AR meta at times, one of your SMG players can actually use an AR. It's not always necessary for Pred to be on the SMG. If Shotzzy wants to use it, they can alternate a little bit, or one of them can actually use an AR a lot of the time, as HyDra might potentially do, and be crazy impactful. In the same way that Scump would be super impactful on the AR as well. So I think in general, the question for OpTic isn't really about the ARs, and, Dashy can be as good as he can be, but it never really, the performance on the course of a season never usually depends on the performance of your ARs. It's usually on the SMGs. If the SMGs are impactful and they can break hardpoints, open up space, and just absolutely fry, that's usually what makes or breaks the success of rosters rather than the AR. So yeah, Dashy and Kenny can be as good as they look right now and as good as they are, but I think that it's all going to, the question is going to be, can the SMGs make it work? I think they can at a time, but it might take somewhat longer than many initially expected. Just to mention as well for methods here, because of course people are enjoying their Thanksgiving, they weren't doing an awful lot of BPL queuing, but here's Ziddy in the queue, player joined queue, methods, Q1 of 8, so yeah, he's trying to grind, but I looked at the scoreboard of the leaderboard, by the way, and nothing has really substantially changed over the last couple of days, which makes a fair bit of sense as well. I'll just mention it's quite cool that from the OpTic Texas side, JP Chris has been doing videos actually on the call-outs for the different locations on these maps, because having played them the last few days, I'm saying he's top building, he's top plat, he's, bottom mid, all this type of stuff. So JP and OpTic actually have proper call-outs here. So I know you did a couple of videos going through a fair few maps, so just thought I'd put you guys in that direction if you guys still, like me, have no idea what you're talking about. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Hold your back lane. I'm sorry, slide with him. I'm hitting this shit.
We're making the bourbon punch. I'm gonna dip my balls.
Got a front pitch,
Huh?
I'm laying down. Hit a front pitch.
Hopefully none of your family's
Look
at me. Ah, dude, I died. Ramp.
I ramp push.
Oh shit, I was unmuted.
Ramp lid. Then ramp again.
Oh, dude. Can you close that door, please?
You're good.
Close the door, please.
Top right.